Welcome back to another Pokemon Throwback Thursday, where every Thursday morning we take a deep dive into a new set. We're going to complete order. So the set we're checking out today is Forbidden Light. And then, of course, we're going to be taking a deep dive into a certain Pokemon and checking out their best cards in Pokemon history. And for today's video, that is going to be Tyranitar. And since it is Thursday, we are going to do a little giveaway. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed. You have to hit that notification bell. You got to hit that like, and then you got to answer the question of the day. If you guys could add a new thing to the Pokemon video games, what would it be? Would you want to, make the graphics a lot better? Would you want to have like difficulty settings? Let me know down below. This is what we're giving away today. We got a Shadowless Charmander and a Shadowless Porygon. And we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Platinum Protectors. If you guys need cases for any type of collectible, Platinum Protectors have got you covered. They have cases for action figures, comic books, die-cast, Funko Pops, trading cards. They got it all. And two, when it comes to trading cards, they got a lot of different price points where you can literally be spending a couple dollars a case, or you can get the nice acrylics, for like $20 a case. They even got like graded card sleeves, top loaders. You can get all the UPC cases, Japanese, One Piece, Lorcana. And then if you click my link in the description, you get 10% off your first order of $50 or more. So definitely check them out. And of course, if you're going to grade through PSA for your first time, you can click my link in the description, use the code BEARD25, and you receive $25 off your very first submission, which is basically a free graded card. And I also have to mention that the 740 Hobby Store in Marietta, Ohio will be having a grand reopening this January 17th, where they will be giving away Nintendo Switch and a ton of other stuff. Doors open at 10 a.m. They'll be buying, trading, everything. So definitely check them out. All right, let's hop into it. We got Forbidden Light. This set came out May 3rd, 2018, and it has 250 total cards with 15 secret rares. There's a ton of rainbows in this set. And honestly, we got some pretty popular Pokemon. We got Lucario, we got Greninja, we got Dialga, we got Xerneas, Palkia, Yveltal. Some pretty solid ones for sure. And Lucario, raw, $127. Greninja, $97. Dialga, $73. Xerneas, $65. Then just a regular full art of Greninja is $54. So some decent value in this set, actually. The total set value is $1,288. So we got the Lucario Rainbow here. It's a pop of 259 in a 10, 233 in a 9. We had one low sale at $250, but last sold in a 10 is $390. Next, we have the Rainbow Greninja GX. These all have super slimmer pops. Last sold in a 10 is $500. Next, we have the Dialga Rainbow. Last sold in a 10 for this one is $177. And you can find this card raw for $60 all day long. Next, we have the Xerneas. I feel like this is one of the most underrated legendary Pokemon. Last sold in a 10 is $183. There's only 166 of them in a 10, but it's not hard to grade. There's just not a ton of them graded. There's only 129s graded also. Next, we have the Full Art Greninja GX. Last sold in a 10 is $282. And then we have the Forbidden Light Booster Pack. This was $23 3 months ago. Now last sold $42, $38, $35. So that's what I'm saying. This set has outperformed, a ton of Scarlet and Violet era sets in the last few months because they've all just been sitting steady. That's why it does pay to look at some of these other sets from different eras. I know most of the other channels, they literally just talk about Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet and Mega. And honestly, it's just because they didn't really collect during the Sun and Moon era or the X and Y era, or even, Black and White and Diamond and Pearl and stuff, but it pays a ton to look at this stuff. Next, we have the Forbidden Light ETB. Last sold for this, which we don't have any sales really on TCG Player, but $556 that we can get it shipped for right now. And we have the Booster Box. We can get this one shipped for $2,000. And last sold, though, is $1,420, $1,400, and $1,385. Let's check the 1 year. This was $529 a year ago. So, been doing very, very well. All right, we are jumping to Tyranitar. So, Tyranitar actually had a lot of super good cards. He has gotten some love for sure. But here's just his cheaper cards we're going to go through. He does have a Spirit Link, which I do like the Spirit Links. And there's a handful of them. It's actually a really fun collection to do. And it's very, very cheap. And he did get a couple Vs and a couple basic EXs and stuff. But all right, let's actually jump into some individual cards. We're going to go from newest to oldest. We have the Tyranitar Illustration Rare. This is actually probably one of the rarest cards in the Scarlet and Violet era in a PSA 10. There's 1,635 10s, 4,388 9s, and there's 2,008s. This card got up to $787, got down to $489. It's climbing up again right now. Last sold $536, and before that was $550. And raw, this is like a $50 card. Next, we have the Sleepy Tyranitar. But yeah, Tyranitar got an illustration rare, and Tyranitar got an alternate art. You got basically one of everything. There's just a couple things, like you didn't get like a level X card and stuff like that, but definitely got a lot of love. So the Sleepy T-Tar got up to $810. Now it's selling between like $600 to $650. And then raw, it's about $170 to about a $200 card, depending on condition, obviously. Next, we have the basic Tyranitar GX. I swear, I'm about to start buying these up in a PSA 10. I think the art on these is sick. Like, it's almost an illustration there. We got a very good scene in the background. There's just a lot of words on it, obviously, compared to, you know, like this Tyranitar, barely any words. But still, very cool scene. There's only 179 10s in the world with 151 9s. And you're not going to find any of these cards clean because these were just the basic GXs. But last sold in a 10, $100. Before that, 90. Not bad. Next, we have the actual full art from Lost Thunder. This has a pop of 178 in a 10, 206 in a 9. Last sold raw, anywhere between like $30 to about $50 if you want to clean. Then we got a PSA 10 sale about $187. Next, we have the Rainbow, same exact art. Little higher pop, 252 in a 10, 360 in a 9. Last sold raw, 50. We got one at $140, another one at 80, and then we have a PSA 10 at 330. And then we have the full art tag team of Mega Sableye and Tyranitar. This is a pop of 410 in a 10, 425 in a 9. Last sold raw, 40, 58. One high one at 80, and then we have a PSA 10 at $174. Next, we have the Rainbow, same exact art. They did that a ton in the Sun and Moon era and stuff. They would just give us a full art and then swap it to Rainbow, and that was it. So this is a pop of 417 in the 10, 322 in a 9. Last sold raw. It sells from basically like $50 all the way up to $100. And we do have a couple PSA 10 sales. It's dropping in price. Last sold 171. Before that, 227, 255, 275, 315. So definitely coming down. Next, we have the actual alternate art, but this one is not textured. Still super, super cool. This is a pop of 1,382 in a 10, 1,000 in a 9. Last sold raw, 46, 25, 35. We do have a PSA 10 sale at $210. Next, we have the actual textured, beautiful tag team alternate art for the Mega Sableye and Tyranitar. This is a pop of 1,340 in a 10 and 1,490 in a 9. Last sold raw, 230, 330, 199, 300. We have a PSA 10 sale at $850, $1,100, and $860. So getting very expensive. PSA 9 at $275. Next, we have the pre-release XY Fates Collide staff card. There's like barely any info on this card, and there's two of them available on TCG Player for $800. But on eBay, you can get a lightly played one for $276, and someone has a PSA 8 at $1,000, and I couldn't find really any recent sales, so definitely a very rare staff card. Now we're getting in the X and Y era. We have XY Ancient Origins, full art, Tyranitar. I love the red in this background. This is a pop of 218 in a 10, 323 in a 9. Now sold raw, 75, 45, 55. And we do have a PSA 10 here at $815. Next, we have the Mega Tyranitar. This is just the basic non-textured one. This one is a pop of 363 in a 10, 342 in a 9. Last sold raw, we got 15, 20, 12. PSA 9 at 56, and we do have a PSA 10 sale here at $332, and before that was $202. So that is quite the jump. Next, we have the actual full art Mega Tyranitar. This is a pop of 421 in a 10, 429 in a 9. That sold raw 45, 160, 78, 180, and we do have a PSA 10 sale here at $768. Next, we have the Tyranitar Prime card. Love this thing. This is a pop of 13 in a 10. 179 in a 9. Last sold raw, 58.85. We got a PSA 9 at 725. And we got a new PSA 10 sale here at $4,800. Before that, it sold for $5,100. And then before that, it sold for $1,361. We also have a sale at $5,100, but all the sales really before that were at $1,300 and $1,700. And then we can even go back to like, you know, COVID times, and it had a sale at $5,000. Next, we have some EXs. Let me know down below which one is your favorite. We have 3 different kinds. So here's the Unseen Enforces one. Here is the Dragon Frontiers Delta Species one. And here is the Pop Series 1. I think I'm going to go Unseen Forces is my favorite, followed by the Pop Series, and then the Dragon Frontiers. Normally, I love the Delta Species cards, but I don't love this Tyranitar as much as these two anyways. So here is the Unseen Forces one. These cards are crazy, crazy rare. This has a pop of 49 in a 10, 250 in a 9. Last sold raw, 150, 200, 236. PSA 9 at 1100, and we got a 10 at $6,500. Now the Dragon Frontiers one, there's basically no information for this card in a 10. It says there's 20 of them. Couldn't find any recent sales, couldn't find any, for sale. So it's definitely rare. And we got a near mint here at $120 and a heavily plated 88. So this card is also very expensive raw. Then we have the Tyranitar Pop Series. We do have a new PSA 9 sale at $1,325. Raw, 60, 120, 115, 130. And we have a PSA 10 sale here at $10,555. And that was like 8-9 months ago now. All right, next we have the Dark Tyranitar from EX Team Rocket Returns. This is a reverse holo with the stamp, which you guys know is my favorite. So we do have a PSA 10 sale. It's down here. There, Dark Tyranitar. Reverse holo in a 10 for $1,466. And this card's definitely going to be over $100 if you want it like super, super minty clean. And it's very tough to find. Next, we have another Dark Tyranitar, also from EX Team Rocket Returns. I like this one a lot more. So last sold raw, 170, 150. We got a PSA 9 at 550. And it says on eBay we got a sale in a 10 at $3,600. Next, we have the Delta Species Tyranitar. It says reverse holo, but there should be a stamp here. Last sold raw, 153, 280, 200, 190. PSA 9 at 725. And we got a 10 at 3,300. And a couple months before that, it sold for $2,500. Next, we have some e-reader cards. We got the Holo Tyranitar from Expedition. He just looks like a monster in this card. This is a pop of 71 in a 10, 381 in a 9. Last sold on eBay is $6,400 in a 10, and raw, 275, 213, 327, 325. We do got a bunch of sales at like 125, but those are definitely going to be, a little bit rougher too. Next, we have the Tyranitar from Aquapolis. I like this one a lot more. He just looks super epic in this one. This is a pop of 116 in a 10, 301 in a 9. We do have an eBay sale here at $5,500 for it in a 10. Raw, 536, which says a tag 5 cert. Otherwise, we got 132, 349, 400. The 400 literally says heavily played also. So it's just so expensive. Here's a raw, lightly played at 650. Another 10 at 5,750. So yeah, it's going to be like $700-800. Here, we got a near mint plus $750 for this card. Next, we have the Unlimited Dark Tyranitar from Neo Destiny. We do have a PSA 10 sale for this at $7,500. And before that, it was at $3,000. And here is the first edition Dark Tyranitar. It says a pop of 55 in a 10. And we do not have any recent PSA 10 sales for this card. We do have a recent PSA 9 at $1,163. And raw, this is definitely going to be, a $300 card now if you want it really clean. Lightly played at $290. We got a sale at $375 raw. And another raw one here at $550. Wow, I think I paid like $40 for my first edition Dark Tyranitar. Next, this is my favorite of the Neo Tyranitars. I just love that the card is actually black. I actually pulled this card as a kid. This is a pop of 77 in a 10, and the last sale on here, which was a couple months ago, was $4,850. Raw, $250, $240, one at $150 for moderately played, and 9s we got $610, $758, and $550. And this card also comes in unlimited. Next, we have the Shining Tyranitar. This is from Neo Destiny. Tyranitar got a lot of love in Neo. This is the unlimited version. This is a pop of 262 and a 10. That sold raw 595, 520, 410. We got a 9 at 1550 and 1800. And we got a couple PSA 10 sales here at 4,500. Another one here at 4,558, and one high one at 6K, but that was a couple months ago. And there is also a first edition Shining Tyranitar. This is a pop of 177 in a 10, 368 in a 9. Last sold raw, 670, 590, 583. This card is kind of tough to find raw just because with these really, really big cards, everybody basically just gets them graded, even if it's going to get a 4, 5, 6, or 7. It just doesn't matter. It just makes them a little bit easier to sell to where you're not going to really get ripped off because, if you pick up a raw card, someone's going to say it's heavily played when, it could possibly be lightly played or vice versa or something like that. So you might as well just get all these big cards graded. We got a bunch of 9 sales here, 3,500, 2,900, 3,300. And we got a PSA 10 sale here at $13,499, which was just like a week or two ago. So that is the biggest English Tyranitar card on today's list. Next, we have a couple Japanese exclusives. We have the Rockets versus Tyranitar. Love these versus cards. This is a pop of 419 in a 10, 338 in a 9. Last sold in a 10 is $1,200. We got raw at 35, 142, 140, 73. And we do have another versus Tyranitar card. I don't like this one as much, but this is the Karen's Tyranitar. This is a pop of 568 in a 10, 319 in a 9. Last sold in a 10 is 1,000. We got a 9 at 287 and raw anywhere from 70 up to $100. And last on the list, this is my favorite Tyranitar seal product. It is the Mega Tyranitar EX Premium Collection. Comes with the super, super nice jumbo and, some sun and moon packs. Was $40 at GameStop. And now it's selling for about $350. If it's super, super minty, people are trying to get, closer to 500, but very, very cool box. He doesn't really have a ton of boxes and tins or anything like that, so this is about the best as it gets. So that's about as good as it gets for Tyranitar. But all right, if you guys like this content, you guys want to stay ahead of the market and, know about a ton of cards that 90% of the hobby has no idea even exists, then please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and definitely hit that notification bell. It means a ton. And then make sure you guys answer the question of the day to be entered into that giveaway. And then if you guys want to support more, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, super close to 10,000 followers on TikTok. So if you guys could do me a massive favor and go follow me on there. I've been posting a ton of vending reels and shorts and stuff. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you guys want to watch my last Pokemon What If Wednesday, which was a super, super good one, we had a ton of really, really good questions. Click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.